Are you the type of person who loves being mean-spirited just for the sake of it? Problem stakes. When we choose to be cruel or dismissive, we create a toxic environment that affects not only those around us, but also our own well-being. It's time to take a closer look at why we're so inclined to be nasty. Here are 10 reasons why you're just a mean, nasty person. Let's begin.
Number 10. You believe being right is more important than being kind.
You assume that if someone disagrees with you, they must be wrong or inferior. Remember the time your colleague asked for feedback on their report, and instead of offering constructive advice, you belittled their work in front of others. That's the power dynamic at play here. You're not just hurting the other person, you're also reinforcing a culture where dominance is valued over empathy. Take a moment to reflect on how often your need to be right has led to unnecessary conflicts or hurtful words.
Number 9. Your emotions are in constant war with reason.
You claim that being aggressive and defensive is justified, as it's just how you feel. But feelings aren't facts, and suppressing rational thinking only makes you more prone to outbursts and poor decision-making. Think of the time your loved one tried to discuss a sensitive topic with you, but instead of listening, you became overly defensive and shut down the conversation. The next time you feel yourself getting emotional, pause for a few seconds before reacting. Ask yourself if your emotions are guiding your words or actions.
Number 8. You use humor to belittle others.
You think sarcasm and put-downs are funny, but they're actually just a mask for your own insecurities. When you mock someone's appearance, intelligence, or achievements in the name of humor, you're not only hurting their feelings, but also demonstrating a lack of self-awareness about your own vulnerabilities. Notice how often you use humor to deflect from your own insecurities, and take a moment to recognize when it might be hurting those around you.
Number 7. You dismiss others' experiences.
You're so convinced that your perspective is the only valid one that you disregard or minimize other people's stories, struggles, and wisdom. Remember when your friend shared their personal struggle with anxiety, but you quickly dismissed it as just a phase or told them to toughen up. That's not empathy, it's gaslighting. The next time someone shares something vulnerable with you, actively listen without judgment and validate their emotions.
Number 6. You're addicted to the thrill of conflict.
You crave the rush of adrenaline that comes from arguing or one-upping others. But this addiction can lead to a toxic dynamic where you prioritize winning over understanding or compromise. Think of the time your friend asked for help with a project, but instead of collaborating, you ended up in a heated debate about whose approach was better. Identify the situations that trigger your need for conflict and work on finding alternative ways to energize yourself, like exercise, creative pursuits, or meaningful conversations.
Number 5. You're unwilling to apologize.
You see admitting fault as a sign of weakness rather than an opportunity for growth and connection. When you refuse to say sorry, even when it's warranted, you perpetuate a culture where taking responsibility is discouraged. Remember the time your partner pointed out that you'd overstepped a boundary, but instead of acknowledging the mistake, you became defensive and dismissive. Make a conscious effort to apologize sincerely when you've wronged someone, not just to avoid conflict, but to repair relationships and build trust.
Number 4. You gossip or spread rumors.
You think it's harmless fun to share juicy stories about others behind their backs, but in reality, you're creating an environment of distrust and fear. Think of the time your coworker confided in you about a personal struggle, and then you went and shared it with someone else without their consent. Before sharing something about another person, ask yourself if it's necessary for a genuine conversation, or if it might be hurtful to share behind their back.
Number 3. You're envious of others' success.
You can't help but feel threatened by the achievements of those around you, so you belittle or undermine them instead of genuinely celebrating their wins. Remember when your friend landed a promotion at work, and instead of being happy for them, you started complaining about your own job. Make a conscious effort to support others' successes without comparing it to your own. It can actually boost your confidence and productivity in the long run.
Number 2. You're a master of passive-aggressive behavior.
You think being indirect with your criticism or complaints is a clever way to avoid conflict, but really, You're just creating a toxic environment where people feel unwelcome or unappreciated. Think of the time your family member asked for help with a task, and instead of saying no directly, you gave them vague instructions that led to frustration on both sides. When you need to communicate something difficult, be direct and honest. It's often less painful in the long run.
Number 1. You're addicted to being right about everything.
You see knowledge as a zero-sum game where someone has to lose for you to win. This mentality can lead to intellectual arrogance and a lack of humility in your conversations with others. Remember when your friend tried to share an alternative perspective, but instead of engaging in a respectful discussion, you dismissed their views out of hand. Practice active listening, ask open-ended questions, and genuinely seek to understand others' points of view. It will make you a better conversationalist and a more compassionate person.
If you take away one thing from this, let it be this: recognizing that being mean-spirited isn't a badge of honor. It's a sign of emotional immaturity. It's time to grow up and choose empathy over aggression. Take responsibility for your actions, practice self-awareness, and cultivate healthy relationships built on trust, respect, and understanding.
Subscribe to Nirreh, we love you.